an expansion of the Letterkenny TV universe, a hockey comedy, and so many drumstick jokes. I only watched the bloody new Shoresy, and I've got thoughts. Okay, so a quick disclaimer before we get into the review. Jared Keeso, who is the show creator and also plays the title character of Shoresy in Shoresy, is an old friend of mine. In fact, we used to be roommates. Here's a photo of us in our early 20s, living in Vancouver, where we had a really crappy beach apartment in Kitsilano. So Jared obviously haven't aged. I, on the other hand, look like a McCain Deep and Delicious cake that's been left on the counter overnight. Jared, if you're watching, please DM me your skincare routine because I apparently have made some bad choices in life. And I'm incredibly proud of the work that he has been doing and I've been following his career all along, and also very proud of this next evolution that he has been doing with creating shows and creating all of this work for Canadian artists and crew from across Canada. So kudos to you, bud. Now let's get into the review and let's talk Shoresy. So Shoresy is a spin-off show from the TV show Letterkenny, as if like Frasier was a spin-off of the show Cheers, and I'm sure they sold this to the network execs at Bell as if it was Frasier playing hockey and he swears a lot. Letterkenny is a show that takes place in a small town and really has a fantastic ensemble and has a great lens of small town life based on Jared's sort of upbringing in Listowel, Ontario. That show is shot in Sudbury. This show is also shot in Sudbury, but it takes place in Sudbury. And if you're watching this show from the States and you've never heard of Sudbury, Sudbury is a small city about 4 hours north of Toronto. It's about 170,000 people. You are getting into central and northern Ontario at that point. It's a very kind of different way of life than what I experience here in the Toronto area. If you're new to my channel, my name is Garrett. I've worked in the Toronto and Vancouver theater and film industry for the past 15 years. I studied theater and film as well as comedy at the Second City, and then I eventually went and worked at the Second City as well as the Toronto National Film Festival and many other places. So if you like movie reviews and TV reviews with maybe potentially a Canadian bent, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be producing a lot more of these. On Letterkenny, Jared plays one of the main characters of Blayne. It's a great ensemble, but he also plays a side character named Shoresy. Shoresy was a character whose face we never got to see in all 10 seasons. He was this roasting, quick chirping, made tons of, your mama kind of jokes. Not the great, kind of a douchey character, but one of the most beloved characters on that show. It was Jared just kind of taking his voice up an octave and doing this really hilarious side character. But now we actually get to see Shoresy, and lo and behold, it's Jared playing this role as well. And so Shoresy has moved from Letterkenny to Sudbury, where he is playing for a senior AAA hockey team, as well as reffing high school hockey as well. And the scenes where Jared is as a high school ref and just trash talking like 14-year-olds is so funny, and just dishing it to these kids, and the kids are just dishing it back. The premise and the focus of the show is on the Sudbury Bulldogs hockey team, and they are a team that's struggling. They're not winning a lot, and the team is on the verge of folding and kind of closing up shop. Now Shoresy kind of takes the helm a little bit to reposition the team and to promise the front office that to give them one last shot and they will never lose a game ever again. So they're on a quest to have the rest of their season to be unbeaten. So that's sort of the premise of the show. Jacob Tierney, who directed Letterkenny, as well as a fantastic feature called Trotsky, which starred Jay Baruchel. It's a little bit older of a film, but it's a great movie. So if you've never seen Trotsky, highly recommend watching it. So Jacob Tierney takes the directing helm from Letterkenny to Shoresy as well. The directing here is great. It is slick. It is there are some fantastic hockey scenes that, it feels, sometimes in certain sports movies they really get it, and some sports movies and TV shows just don't get it. This show gets hockey. Jared, who is the show creator, has a background in hockey. Hockey is really important. That's how Jared kind of came to my high school, because he was born in Listowel, but he was wanting to eventually have a pro hockey career. And so to play junior A hockey, he moved to my area to play for the Strathroy Rockets. And so that's how we ended up at the same high school. So Jared has a huge passion and a love for the game, and you can really sense and feel it in this show. It is a love letter to hockey, but you do not need to be a hockey fan or to have played hockey to love it. I played football in high school and recruited to play it in college and all that stuff. So that was really my sport. But if you've played basketball, if you've played field hockey, if you've played volleyball, if you've played basketball or baseball, and you've been on a team and you've been in the locker rooms with your teammates, and you're kind of chirping each other and you're psyching each other up, and then you're going out to win or lose and hopefully win, you will really enjoy this show as much as anyone who has played hockey has. Do you need to have watched Letterkenny to get this show? No. Should you watch Letterkenny? Yeah, it's a really fun show, and 10 plus seasons of enjoyment to watch. So definitely go watch Letterkenny as well. I want to give a shout out to Drew McLeod, who is the film editor on this show. This show moves quick. It feels really quick. It feels like a music video. Like it's just firing, and with the jokes and the scenes and the hockey action as well, it is firing. And I want to give a shout out to Cody Partridge, who is the music supervisor on Shoresy. Cody has put together an incredible soundtrack on this show. The music is gnarly. He has selected one banger after another, and they've done an incredible job to make you feel like those hype songs that athletes listen to all the time, and it is weaved in and out of the show. So fantastic job to both Drew and Cody as well. And lastly, I want to do a shout out to the casting and the cast of this show. So yes, you've got Jared Keeso as Shoresy, and you've got essentially 2.5 groups within this show. So you've got the hockey players, you've got the front office, and then you've got like the townsfolk, the townies, I guess you could say. So back to the hockey team, I've read in a number of interviews that they really tried to get hockey players first and then actors second. Some sports movies and shows, you can kind of tell that they're an actor first, and they might be holding a stick wrong, or they might be kicking a ball wrong. It's close, but it's not at that level that that they should be at. What they've done is casted a number of hockey players who have played college or juniors, or there are also ex-pros who have actually played in the NHL as well in that group. And within that group, you also have a great smorgasbord of Canadian life. You've got East Coasters, you've got some Newfies, and you've got some Quebecois, you've got the French Canadian, and you've also got an incredible representation of the Indigenous community. So, I mean, you don't always see that, and this is done incredibly seamlessly, and it's not political, and it's just the way of life there, and it's beautiful and it's great, and I just applaud everyone who's a part of those choices. You've got the front office, which is female driven, and you've got three main characters there, and they had this incredible, I want to say dynamic duo, but dynamic trio of this support structure and of bossing the boys around. Like they're controlling the boys, because the hockey players are going to be hockey players and a little bit rambunctious and, you know, start fights and stuff like that. And the three main female characters have they're bosses. They got their shit together. So, and they do an incredible job, and I want to see more from all three of these actresses in future work. Very impressed. And then you've got the townsfolk. You know, you've got some guest stars with like Jonathan Torrens, and you've got Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall. So you've got a great little group there as well, kind of contributing to these other two structures within the show. But yeah, there's a great dynamic that I've seen in Canada. We've gotten 4 out of the 6 episodes already. In the States, I believe you start getting the first 2 episodes on the 27th, but we get the final 2 episodes on the 27th. So yeah, so that's it. I really enjoyed this show. So if you like Ted Lasso, I think you're probably going to really like this show. It's a little bit saltier, a little bit more fast paced, but they both do a great job at a love letter to their own individual sports. And you know, if you like Kids in the Hall, which, you know, they just released a new season. I actually did a review on it as well. I recommend checking that out. You've got that sort of dark humor, as well as, you know, Trailer Park Boys, which is also Canadian. There's a very similar humor and POV that you can kind of see that has influenced Jared's writing, and that was my last point. There is no writer's room from what I can see. This was all also written by Jared Keeso. So coming from my world of the Second City, I was expecting to see other writers and comedians that I know who were maybe working on the show to punch up the script, but from what I can see, the writing credit is just Jared. So, I mean, did you also do craft services? Like, dude, you knocked this out of the park, and I think it's a great watch. Each episode is about 25 minutes long, and thanks again, and we'll see you at the next one.